Hey guys, it's Brandon Dude from TakerTube. TakerTube begins. KDYN WARS begins in a few days. The first episode airs on September 1st. Alright guys, I'm going to do some adjustments to the bracket because I want it to be more entertaining. First things first, we're going to rearrange some of fights. Uh, we're going to let's move Panic Attack to. You know what? I'm going to move Panic Attack to Heat C. Man, alright everybody, I'm going to move Panic Attack to Heat C. I'm gonna move Dominant here. I'm gonna move Mr. Nasty to Heat B because I would love to see a fight between Dream Homophobia and Mr. Nasty. Man, I really hate doing this, but I had to. We're gonna spend 5 minutes rearranging the heats. Is this game frozen or something? Alright, guys, I'm gonna set a 3 minute timer. Alright, so next thing I'm gonna do is let's have a. You know what? This, there was this match between Hey, if I remember correctly, there was a rematch between Fluffy and Dominator 2 in Rumble Wars Reborn Cup. Oh yeah? Well, let's move Dominator 2 to Heat A. Because I want to see a rematch between those two. Yeah. Alright, let's do some other rearrangements. I'm gonna keep the fight. Alright. Hmm. Yeah, this is gonna be a nightmare to re-put together. Let's have Pitbull fight one on one. Oh, now Suicide Tendency is facing Pitbull. Okay, I'm fine with that. Once the timer's up, we're gonna start rearranging the heats. Autobot's gonna compete in. Alright. Let's pop Autobot fight. Fight Drusilla in Heat C. Yeah. Alright, guys. This will be the final adjustments we're gonna make. We're gonna make some adjustments to the bracket. Where's the output from it at too? I give up. Oh no. We have 30 seconds left. I better find a new way to rearrange the heat. Okay. Okay, we're done now. Oh no. Oh god, no. What's gonna happen now? Oh, we're done for. I say we might be done. I'm not gonna hear it. Oh no. No. I'm gonna rearrange the fan to fight between four and propel ahead. You know what? I'm gonna do one final adjustment. I'm gonna have propel ahead and fight instead fight tornado. Alright, everybody. We've rearranged the heats. Let's take a look at the updated lineup. Heat A, we have Fluffy versus Dominator 2, the Alien versus Tsunami, 4x4 versus Flip Off Fly, and Killjoy versus Smithy. In Heat B, we have Typhoon 2 versus Terahertz, Cerberus versus Mousetrap, Mission Nasty versus Probophobia, and 259 versus Chompalot. Heat C, we have Exterminator 2 versus Jackson Wallop, Panic Attack versus Raging Reality, Firestorm versus S3, and Drillseller versus Agrobot. In Heat D, we have 4 versus Diotor, Turbo versus Griffin, 13 Black versus Griffon. Alright, let me restart. Here we have Fluffy versus Dominator 2, the Alien versus Tsunami, Flux 4 versus Flip Flop Fly, and Killtron versus Smithy. In Heat B, we have Typhoon 2 versus Terahertz, Cerberus versus Mousetrap, Mission Nasty versus Probophobia, and 259 versus Chopalot. Heat C, we have Exterminator 2 versus Jackson Wallop, Panic Attack versus Raging Reality, Firestorm versus S3, and Jill Seller versus Agrobot. Heat D, we have 4 versus Diotor, Terrible versus Griffon, 13 Black versus Big Dipper, and Tornado versus Propellerhead. Heat E, we have IG-88 versus Twister, Single Sauce versus Chaos 2, Chip versus 101, and Steel Avenger versus Mace 2. Heat F, we have Zerozus versus Key B, Gemini versus Toughest Nails, Suicide Tendencies versus Pitbull, and Steamer versus M2. Heat G, we have Tendencies Booster versus Danto Kia, Barbarous versus Megamorg, Potterbear Fly versus Roblox, and Supernova versus Black Hole. Heat H, we have Crustaceans versus Willy Big Cheese, Bonnet Tish versus Hypnodist, Saint Aggro versus Fermador 2, and Pussycat versus Atomic. Heat I, we have Morris versus Razor, Cassius versus Bigger Brother, Arnold 2.1 versus Mute, and Gravity versus Can Opener. In Heat J, we have Lightning versus Spawn again, Bulldog Brave versus Ripper, Bearmouth versus Splinter, and Cat Free versus Storm 2. Alright, guys, this is the updated lineup for KDYN WARS. Alright, we've tweaked the lineup a bit. I can't wait for KDYN WARS. It begins production soon. See you all soon for the official KDYN WARS tournament. Bye!